Hey everybody, Jim Masters here. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live. This is the entertainment lifestyle talk show series where we celebrate positivity and inspiration. We have a good time talking to some amazing guests in the fields of television, film, movies, Broadway, Hollywood, chefs, science, health, nature, and so much more. Wellness, you name it. It's all about light, levity, and love, or loveity, as we call it here on the Jim Masters Show Live. How's everybody doing today? We've got an audience that reaches all around the United States, which is cool. Canada, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand. I'm a professional television and radio host, a voiceover artist, narrator, actor, journalist, writer, producer, stage MC. Been doing this for a long time. So if you're just joining us for the very first time, we welcome to the entertainment lifestyle talk show series that, again, has a lot of cool vibe to it, positive vibe with some of the old school polish of some of those talk shows from the past. Lots of comments coming in. Good to see everybody. We've got a phenomenal guest coming up in just a moment. Of course, you know him as a brilliant actor and producer and author as well. We're going to talk about that. Sean Kanan, you've seen him on The Bold and the Beautiful, as well as General Hospital, and a phenomenal new series, Studio City, and so much more. He's an incredible actor and a really cool guy, and we're so excited to have him here on the show. Live and direct from California. In just a minute, we'll have him here. First, we want to say hello to everybody. We like to greet everybody. We like to welcome everybody to the show because, again, that's what it's all about. It's about interactivity with our viewers, which I know a lot of you guys really love when I do that. We had a whole show last night where it was the host chat episode, where we chatted with you guys for, I think, almost 3 hours from around the world. We showed a lot of your viewer photos. It was really cool. And as a TV and radio personality and host, I love doing that. And some great guests this past week. If you saw Damian McGinty on from Celtic Thunder, he also starred in Glee on Fox. He's a dear friend of mine. We've known each other for years. I've interviewed him many times on PBS, public television. He was on just a couple of nights ago. You can see all the episodes of the Jim Masters Show live series archived on YouTube at Jim Masters TV. That's YouTube, Jim Masters TV. And also we stream on Facebook as well. A couple of things we like to do as an entertainment lifestyle talk show series. We greet everybody. We check in. We hope you guys are doing well from all around the world. Hope you had a good day as we are now in the thick of the weekend. We toast all of you, and you. We welcome you to the broadcast. I know it's a nice fancy martini glass, right? But tonight, just a little cold green tea in here. A little hot and humid here along the East Coast. We broadcast this show from the greater New York City area in the United States, on the coast between New York and Boston. And we have so many people who have been watching as this continues to grow by leaps and bounds, which really moves my heart because, again, I do this work professionally. And then we launched this show, this series, 12 weeks ago. And we do it just about every single night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, live. Nightly, every night. And did I sign up for that? And just a couple of times we'll take a day off, like maybe on a Sunday, to be with family and, go swimming and tennis and cycle along the coast here. But great to have you with us. I hope you guys are doing well. I know, we're interesting times are upon us here, but hopefully, and a lot of you expressed, this show puts a smile on your face. It lifts you up. We have a lot of levity here at the show. And you learn something new all the time in the Jim Masters Show Live, which is really cool. I really appreciate all the love, the comments, the tagging, the sharing, the posting. And Sean, I got to tell you, Sean is really, really ultimate at that. He's been posting and tagging and sharing and telling everybody that he's popping on tonight. And I really, really appreciate him doing that. It's very cool because not everybody does that. They'll pop on shows and that's it. And here and in and out, but he's really good at, getting the word out and connecting with fans and followers and friends. And I'm of the same ilk. I think it's, maybe with the way we were raised, just taking care of everybody. Kathleen in New York City, looking forward to it. Jerry Castaldo in New York says, go Jim, go. Willie is watching in Holland on YouTube at Jim Masters TV. really cool thing. If you're just joining us for the first time, Willie takes naps in the day in the Netherlands because it's like 1 a.m. right now. So she can wake up at 1 a.m. so she doesn't miss our show. So what we do, because this is like the 52nd show in a row that Willie in Holland has watched and not missed and hasn't fallen asleep through. Some Dutch tulips there for you. Yeah, wooden and hand painted, but we did get them on a TV shoot in Amsterdam, Willie. So they are sort of the real thing. And thanks for watching. You know, we've been doing this 12 weeks, but you've caught 52 of those shows in a row and at 1 o'clock in the morning, which is absolutely amazing. Thanks so much, Willie. Angie Theo is watching on YouTube. Good to see you as well at Jim Masters TV. In Southern California, Ann is watching. Good to see you as well. Once again, Ann, love when you're with us. You're always with us a lot here on the series, and that is fantastic. And again, you can see all the past episodes, 12 weeks of episodes at Jim Masters TV archived. Hello, Jimbo. That is Christopher in Ohio. Good to see you. And Renee in Iowa. Happy Saturday, everybody. Good to see you, Renee, as well. Linda in Florida. Good evening, Mr. Loveity. That's that word that we've coined here at the show because I was saying the show is about light, levity, and love. And I sort of slipped over my tongue and I said loveity, and everybody's fallen in love with that word. So we've been using that as part of the show, loveity. So good to see you in Florida there. Hope you guys are doing well, and fingers crossed that the hurricane just skirts the coast and doesn't come into Florida, because then we'll be getting it coming up our way as well. Good to see you in Innerkip, Ontario, Canada, Merlin. Hello, Jim. We're looking forward to a great show. Absolutely. Ernestine is here in North Carolina. Good to see you as well, Ernestine. And Willie, once again, good evening, Jim Boy. Avril is watching in Hampshire in the United Kingdom. There in beautiful England. Good to see you, Avril. You've been watching all the shows back to back every night. We really appreciate that, and telling everybody in the UK about the series, which I think is really cool. We appreciate that. Linda Hutchinson watching in Alabama. Hello, everyone from Alabama. Looking forward to this interview and conversation, as I call it. I don't even call them interviews. They're conversations. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Alice is watching in Southern California. Good to see you again, Alice. Kathy, good evening from Cleveland, Ohio. Our guest was born in Cleveland. I bet you knew that already if you did your research. Yeah, he was born in Cleveland and then grew up in Western Pennsylvania. We were just talking about that moments ago. Hi, Jim. Hope you had a good day. We did, Kathleen, there in New York City. I hope you've had a great day as well. Alice says hi to everybody. Christine Fairwood in Connecticut. Hello, Jim and peeps. Love the countdown. Great show yesterday. Thank you. Yeah, that was a 3-hour show we did of just viewer interaction and host chit chat. Joy Lorenzo is watching in New York City. Good to see you, and hope your grandson there, Connor, is doing well. Say hi to Connor for me as well. Kathleen is here. Looking forward to Sean. Absolutely. Renee Katz in New York City is here. Happy Saturday night. Good that you're here as well. Linda, catering. So watch it in the archive. That's right. You got that archive there set up to watch all the shows. Merlin is saying loveity to all. Carla is watching once again in Brazil. You're usually here on Saturday nights. We look for you on Saturday nights. You watch all the way from Brazil. We love that. Good evening to you and our nice world audience. Again, it's all positivity, uplifting. I've always done that in my professional work. Love to do it here with this series out of our home studio, sort of our new reality. Renee watching. Yes, we were talking about food last night. Renee is watching in Iowa. Good to see you. Celtic Thunder. We've had Damien on. We're going to have Paul Byram on the show as well, one of the other Irish performers. Chloe Agnew is here as well. Yes, you've seen Sean on the soap operas. Absolutely. The Bold and the Beautiful, General Hospital. He's working on a really cool project right now we're going to be talking about. Everybody's cheering. Everybody's celebrating. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Nice to see everybody. My God, look at this here. Big General Hospital fan here. So you remember him as A.J. Quartermaine. What an incredible role, and a great job he did in that too. That's beautiful, Christopher. Thanks for sharing that. That's a beautiful thing to do. Danilo is watching in San Diego. Good to see you as well. And Angie says a great show coming up. You better believe it. Just some more coming in here. And then we're going to get ready to welcome our fantastic guest. Marilyn is here from Kansas, from Wichita. Love Wichita. We did a TV shoot out there not that long ago. Flowers coming from Merlin in Canada, and lots more. We'll go through more of these a little bit later. Yeah, I love that, Danilo. Welcome to Loveity Hall, everyone. The gang is here. That's it. Spread the word. Tell everybody that we're here. My guest is somebody that you have seen over the years grace your television screens and so much more. He is incredible. He's been doing this for a long time, and he's really, really good at what he does, and he's got such passion. There is a new series, I don't know if you've seen this, a new series that he's starring in called Studio City. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. That's a really cool, exciting thing. But of course, you remember Sean Kanan from The Bold and the Beautiful and General Hospital. Again, there he is as AJ Quartermaine. A lot of cool photos we've got here. Good looking guy, talented guy, cares about his fans, very approachable. Here we go back a little bit in time, right? I'm sure you remember him in so many of these roles. And again, you know what is cool about him too? He's humble, and he's just a really fine actor, and he really cares about his craft. Bold and the Beautiful as well. So many different roles. He's also an author, co-authored Success Factor. We're going to talk about that as well. Again, really, really cool guy, and we're so excited to have him here. So let me tell you a little bit about him. And again, the latest role is the production of Studio City, which is really, really great. And Leb is watching, and Leb says, I got Prime for a month to see Studio City. So Amazon Prime, you got it so you could see Studio City. That was well worth the investment. Good stuff. So let me tell you a little bit about our great guest, Sean Kanan. He was born November 2nd in Cleveland, Ohio, and then the family moved to Western Pennsylvania. Of course, actor and producer, author, TV host, best known for his portrayals as AJ Quartermaine on General Hospital, Deacon Sharpe on The Bold and the Beautiful, also The Young and the Restless too. And he was in The Karate Kid Part 3. Remember that too? And he is Sam Stephen in the newest production, Studio City. His first notable role was in Academy Award-winning 1989 film, The Karate King Part 3. Really, really cool. Again, born in Cleveland, his family relocated to Newcastle, Pennsylvania. And he also attended the Academy in Pennsylvania, then went on to Boston University and UCLA, where he actually earned a degree in political science. The following year, after The Karate Kid Part 3, he starred on the Fox television series The Outsiders. Remember that? And in 93, he joined the ABC soap opera General Hospital in a really, really coveted role as AJ Quartermaine. He was also nominated for an award in the Outstanding Newcomer category by Soap Opera Digest. He was with the series till 1997. And then in 99, he joined the cast of the NBC soap opera Sunset Beach. Remember Sunset Beach? And he remained with the show until that show wrapped up. He wrote and executive produced Chasing Holden, which was distributed by Lionsgate. And in November 2000, he joined the cast of the CBS soap opera, The Bold and the Beautiful, as Deacon Sharpe, playing a character that was originally conceived as a short-term villain. But then he just really took that role and he really made it his own. Then he starred in several feature films as well, competed in the third season of the Italian version of Dancing with the Stars in 2006. In July 2009, he reprised his role as Deacon Sharpe on the CBS soap opera The Young and the Restless. Now, while appearing on The Young and the Restless, he also starred in the 2009, which was directed by Julie Pacino, which is Al Pacino's daughter. It was also screened at the Cannes Film Festival as well. In May 2010, he appeared in My Trip to the Dark Side, written and directed by Shane Stanley. He later starred in the 2011 sequel, My Trip Back to the Dark Side. And that same year, he wrote The Modern Gentleman, Cooking and Entertaining with Sean Kanan, published by Dunham Books. Upon leaving The Young and the Restless in January 2012, he reprised his role again of Deacon Sharpe on The Bold and the Beautiful. He's also appeared on and off from May until September 2012. He then was talking about returning to General Hospital in 2012. He returned to the role of A.J. Quartermaine after a 15-year absence. He was excited to work with the new leadership there too as well. Then he moved on, and again, he returned to The Bold and Beautiful as Deacon Sharpe, first airing in 2014. Really, really cool career he's had. He's really had an opportunity to do it all. He received the 400th star on the Walk of Fame in Palm Springs, dedicated by his wife in honor of his illustrious, long-standing career. 2019, last year, a big year for Sean, with creating the hit Emmy-nominated series Studio City. That is the co-compilation of a new book as well, too. In addition to Studio City, the series, this co-compilation of a new book, Success Factor X, published by Plain Sight Publishing, came to be. Rapidly became a bestseller on Amazon, and it also launched Sean Kanan's inspirational speaking tour as well, which is fantastic. Really cool stuff. And we're going to welcome him to the show because we have a lot to talk about. He's in the thick of so much great work, and we're so honored to have him here. And yeah, I see all the welcomes coming in. A lot of you are welcoming him to the show. We'll show some of those during the course of our conversation. But let me welcome my very great guest from California, Sean Kanan. Hey, Sean, welcome to the show. Good to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show as well. So how you doing there in California, the Palm Springs area, right?
Well, it's very hot. We set a heat record about two weeks ago. It was 121 degrees. Unfortunately, we're dealing with some fires right now, but on the whole, it's a great place to be, and life's good. To see that you've got people tuning in from literally all over the world. I didn't know that, and that's very exciting.
Yeah. So. Isn't it amazing? Yeah, they're all fans of yours. They all know about your work. I had mentioned that you were born in Cleveland in the Midwest, and then the family moved out to Newcastle, Pennsylvania, right? What was it? What were some of those inspirations for you growing up in Pennsylvania that led you to want to go into acting and entertainment? Was anybody in the family in any of this?
Well, we moved to Pennsylvania because my father took over our family business, which was a chain of jewelry stores. At one point in time, our family had about 50 jewelry stores in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Maryland, West Virginia, and it was started by my great-grandfather in like 1910, and my dad took over the business, which was based in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. So we moved there, and you asked me what about living there kind of led me into getting involved in entertainment. I didn't know this till years later. This is crazy, but Newcastle, Pennsylvania had the first theater that was started by the Warner Brothers. And long ago, there was actually film production in this little tiny town, Newcastle, Pennsylvania. I think growing up in a small town, at least I was always thinking of just sort of what was over the horizon. What was more than in my immediate surroundings. From a really young age, I knew I wanted to do something that was going to kind of allow me to express myself, and I sort of settled into that I was going to pursue a career in acting. And when you tell your parents that you're going to move out to Hollywood to be an actor, it's like saying I'm going to run away to join the circus. And so my parents have always been incredibly supportive of me, but they said, listen, you're going to finish your college education. And I really credit them for that, because it would have been very easy for me to just not have finished it. And like you said, I finished my political science degree at UCLA right at the same time as I started work on The Karate Kid Part 3, which was my launching pad.
And how did that happen? I mean, tell us about that progression to where you had this opportunity to be on The Karate Kid 3. Were you in plays? Were you doing acting? Were you doing commercials? Were you doing a lot of things that led into that, Sean?
So So I've been involved in martial arts off and on most of my life, and I was out in Hollywood. I'm trying to make my way out there, and the head of my martial arts school was a gentleman named Fumio Demura, and he's a grandmaster Japanese gentleman, and he also happened to be Pat Morita's stunt double. And he told me, knowing that I wanted to pursue acting, he said, "Listen, there's going to be this open call for the new bad guy for Karate Kid 3, and I think you should go and try and do it." And so I went and I stood in line with, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 hopefuls.
Wow.
And, John Avildsen had directed the first two, which I had watched as like a paying, customer in the theaters. And now here, about a year and a half later, I'm competing for a role for the third installment of this really successful series. John Avildsen, who had won the Academy Award for Rocky, was walking up the line of, hopefuls, and I knew I had literally seconds to catch his attention. And he stopped in front of me, and I did a quick improv with him. And he thought about it for a second, and he said, "Okay, I believe that." And he sent me inside the studio. So now I get into the sound stage, and it's like a three-ring circus because, there are all these news outlets. There's Entertainment Tonight and Access Hollywood. They're all filming this because it was a publicity stunt. The chance to find a lead actor in the third installment of a successful franchise is almost unheard of. And so they were doing it to generate buzz for the film. And there was Ralph Macchio, and they had me do a scene with him. And they seemed to buy that too. And they went ahead and they hired somebody else. And they kept him for about 4 or 5 days and decided he wasn't working out. And they let him go, and they called me back, and it was surreal. I mean, I went in, I met with John Avildsen again. I met with Robert Mark Kamen, who had written all the Karate Kid films. He wrote Taken. He's written so many big blockbuster films, and he's a martial artist. He had me do a couple of moves, show him. They wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to, learn the fight choreography, and almost instantly they were sending me off to wardrobe, and I was in rehearsal the next day, and it made my head spin. I mean, it really was surreal. And I'd grown up watching Pat Morita on Happy Days as Arnold, even before he was Mr. Miyagi. And like I said, I was in the theater
Right.
the first two Karate Kid films as a fan, and now here I am on the back lot working with these guys, and it was something else.
I mean, what was that really like? You had to be, were you pinching yourself? Were you saying, "Oh my God, this is, it's a long way from Newcastle, and here I am on set with these veterans, and I'm in this franchise of the Karate Kid, which, has its a wonderful fan base following along too all those years." That must have been a really amazing thing for you. And then, in conjunction with it being amazing for you, Sean, I'm sure that sort of opened up a lot of further doors for you too, huh?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll tell you that I just had a flashback of something that I had said, which is only the kind of arrogance and hubris you have when you're 20 years old. And I was going to school in Boston. I was going to school at UCLA at the time, already in Hollywood. And I came back to Newcastle, and I was hanging out at a Circle K thing, gas station.
Right.
And we would sit out there and talk till the wee hours of the night. And I told them about this open call. And I said, "I'm going to go to this open call." And I said, "I'm going to get this part." And I mean, the astronomical odds of actually doing it, coupled with the arrogance of thinking that I'm going to get this role. And, God, the universe, whatever, was listening and supported me. It really did open up a lot of doors for me. Largely because Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita had done all the press for the first two films, and they really, they had done it. They were happy to have somebody else do a lot of the press. And so the studio sent me out on a 12-city tour, which was insane. I got to bring a friend, limos everywhere. I got to bring my dad, doing, all this press, going to New York City and doing talk shows. I mean, and I'm this young kid from Pennsylvania, and it really was an amazing experience. And I'm glad I had it so early in my career because, press and interacting with people like you, it's such an important part of being an actor and an entertainer.
Right.
And not everybody's comfortable doing it. because it's not really a normal thing to do, to sit and talk about yourself ad nauseum. And I'm glad that I got to do it at an early age and kind of cut my teeth on it. So as I went along in my career, I had some experience doing it.
That's amazing. That's really, really cool. So then as that wrapped up and the exposure to, I mean, that incredible movie, what happened from there? What were some of the other opportunities that developed for you after the Karate Kid 3, Sean?
So I did things kind of backwards. I did a big studio. And after that, I wound up doing the short-lived TV series, The Outsiders, which was produced by Francis Ford Coppola. And, I had grown up reading S.E. Hinton's books, The Outsiders, Rumblefish. That was then, This Is Now. And I was cast as the role of the head of the Socias, which were the rich kids gang. There were the rich, and there were the greasers. And I actually auditioned for one of the greasers. And I'll never forget it. I was auditioning, I think, for Fred Roos, who was one of the producers of The Godfather. And I had this line where I was supposed to say something like, also we were supposed to be from Oklahoma. And I said, "You want to see something cool? Watch this." And I pulled my pants down and I just showed them my underwear, and they kind of laughed, and they made them remember me. And they said, you're kind of a little clean cut to be one of the greasers, but we think we got an idea for this other part for you. And I was like, wow. And again, it was one of these things where, I'd grown up watching. Ralph Macchio was in The Outsiders.
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze, Tom Cruise, Rob Lowe, and Emilio Estevez. And so there's this iconic scene where it's all the Socias and all the greasers, and we're driving our fancy, what do we have? We had convertible Mustangs and all these great period cars, and they have all of these barrels with flames coming out of them, and it's this big rumble scene. And so I go to the front and I face the head greaser. We get into it, and then it erupts into this massive rumble. And even as I was doing the scene, I was like, this is so cool. I can't believe I'm doing this. After that, I realized that I had gotten these great breaks, but I had just started studying acting.
Right.
And I knew that you can get so far on kind of natural charisma and force of personality.
Right.
But when you need to start becoming characters that are further and further away from who you are as a person, you have to have technique. And so I decided the best thing for me to do in conjunction with going to acting class was that I was going to do a play. And I wound up doing a play called Irish Coffee, where I played a thuggish guy from the wrong side of the tracks in England, an accent, the whole thing. And that was when I really fell in love with theater. Because the phone sort of stopped ringing for a second, because, I was getting some auditions and I just wasn't where I needed to be. And after I had done the play, a friend of mine whose name is Steve Burton, who played Jason Quartermaine, and still to this day is on General Hospital, although he's done many, many things, including working with Steven Spielberg. He said, "Listen, they're recasting the part of my brother." And Steve and I, you showed a picture. I mean, we had a striking similarity physically, almost to the point where they weren't going to hire me because they were worried it was going to be too confusing. Ultimately, they did hire me to play brothers, and we were able to forge a very credible, believable. You could see it. We look like brothers.
You do. You really do. That was amazing casting.
It was a wonderful period of my career. It was really exciting. Ricky Martin was on the show for a while.
Yeah.
A lot of terrific personalities and actors, and it was an exciting time. Daytime was having this huge resurgence in the early 90s. And so, I kind of did it backwards. Most people will go and do a play, and then they'll maybe go work on a soap opera for a while and then go do a film. I did it backwards. And, everybody's career has its own trajectory. Nothing happens, according to whatever plan you make, you can be guaranteed that's not what's going to happen. And so, for me, it was terrific. I mean, it wasn't what I had planned. I think everybody who comes out to Hollywood thinks that they're going to be Brad Pitt and they're going to do one giant blockbuster after another. And you know what? I'm just really fortunate that for the better part of 30 years, I've gotten to do what I love. I've gotten paid to do it. I've traveled the world. I've met wonderful people, and I'm still doing it.
Which is the key, which is really the key, because you're very good at it and you do the right thing and you stay in touch with people and, and you produce, which is really cool. So those years on General Hospital, I mean, what was that like for you? Because, all the attention that a soap opera brings, and those scripts are unreal. I mean, I'd always heard that the scripts are like, it's like Moby Dick times 10. It's really amazing the amount of content and how much shooting goes on. You guys are on set for a long time, right?
Yeah, it's interesting on a lot of levels. When you're on a soap opera, especially General Hospital and The Bold and the Beautiful, and I'll tell you why in a second. These are such iconic shows.
Yeah.
General Hospital started out as a radio show.
That's right.
In a black and white show, and then it progressed throughout the 70s. So it's been on forever. So there are people that have watched the show for literally decades. And so when you come on the show and you assume a role, within about a month of playing that role, you have millions of people who now know who you are. It's strange. And with Bold and the Beautiful, because Bold and the Beautiful is in 47 countries, it's exponentially bigger, because in a very short amount of time you're known throughout the world. So that's it's pretty crazy.
So you absorb that okay? Because some people, it's overwhelming, they can't handle all that attention and the constant paparazzi and everything. You were okay with it, or was there a period of adjustment for you?
Listen, I would be lying if I said there weren't times in my life that I've gotten caught up, that I've made mistakes. I think that's part of living, but because it doesn't really come with a playbook. But I learned a lot, and I've matured as time has gone on. I mean, it doesn't come with a playbook when suddenly you're a young guy, you're making some good money, everyone knows who you are and sort of wants to get to know you. And I was very lucky that I had and still have tremendous parents, and now a phenomenal wife. And those are the things that grind I would say ground me. Kill me if I say grind me.
Wow. Yeah. You're thinking of the coffee that you're having.
Yeah, right. But I'm very lucky that I've got some very good people in my life that help keep me, as balanced as I'm going to be.
And as you just exhibited, you got to have a sense of humor about it all, right? You have to. You just.
I mean, it's a crazy business. It's a difficult business. It's generally speaking kind of a roller coaster. It's feast or famine. And, I mean, there's a part of it like, to think that you're interesting enough for somebody to go pay $15 and sit in a dark theater for 2 hours and watch you, you kind of got to have some big ones, right? And but if you're not going to believe it, who else is, right?
Right.
So it's a little weird, but listen, it's all I've known really for the last.
It's been
what I do. It's who I am.
It's been your life. The very first time when you were in the Karate Kid, and then of course General Hospital, and then you went back home. What was that feeling like? The family, the friends, the neighbors, the reception to wait a minute here. Here's Sean. That must have been cool.
It was incredible because, I went back home. They had a big screening for me at the theater. All my friends and family came, and my family's friends. And, I had grown up taking karate in that town. And my sensei, who studied under the sensei that was Pat Morita's stunt double, came out to Hollywood and got to go into Mr. Miyagi's garden and go on set. And that was really exciting for him. And he was just so proud of me that, here's this kid that's a student in his class who's now, this kind of really well-known bad guy in a really well-known karate franchise. And yeah, they were really proud and excited. And, I guess small town boy makes good, right?
Small town boy makes good. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm getting all kinds of comments here. Daphne just shared it with friends in Australia. Loved you on General Hospital. You were amazing on General Hospital.
Thank you very much.
He's the best. Alice loves the blue eyes. That's it, right? And Do you ever get confused going back and forth on the soaps? That's interesting.
I don't get confused when I'm on them, but when people ask me about them years later, and for instance, I've worked with so many people over the years, and some of them I've worked with on different shows.
Right.
I get confused if I worked with somebody on this show or that show. So
Exactly.
yeah, sometimes it does get confusing.
This is a tough question. I mean, which one did you like the most? General Hospital, Bold and Beautiful. Each role was unique and different, right?
That's not a tough one. I really liked working on the Bold and Beautiful.
You did, really?
I did because it's the smallest cast in daytime. It's a 22-minute show, so it moves really quickly. I love the role of Deacon Sharpe. It's a role that I would welcome reprising at some point. And like I said, it introduced me to an international audience. And one of the things that I do give myself credit for was when I found out how famous basically the show was in Italy.
Yeah.
I decided that I was going to learn to speak Italian. And so I've studied Italian now for almost 15 years. And it allowed me to go and do a film in Italy and eventually go do Ballando con le Stelle, which is Dancing with the Stars, and live over in Italy for almost a year. And it was one of the most amazing life experiences I could have ever dreamt of. And so that's a direct result of being on the Bold and Beautiful. Playing AJ Quartermaine was great too. I was one of several people that played that role, whereas Deacon is a role that I originated. No one has played it since. And that character is very close to my heart.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now, would you go back? Some people have asked, "Oh, we want him to go back on General Hospital, but Bold and Beautiful, we want him back."
I don't know. They killed me on General Hospital, so I mean, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But I'm only in jail on Bold and Beautiful, or prison. So maybe Deacon will get paroled.
Although
write some letters to the warden, maybe I'll get out.
Although on some soap operas, the characters do come back. I think Marlena Evans has come back several times on Days of Our Lives.
When they asked me to come back to General Hospital after 15 years with surgery, I said to myself, I will never say never again.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know. You just said, that's the thing I love so much about what I do. You don't know from week to week who is going to be a part of your life, in the sense that you get put on a project and all of a sudden, you're working with, I don't know who, name somebody that you grew up idolizing, and now you're doing a scene with them. And I just think that constant infusion of the unknown is what keeps it interesting for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What was a typical day like as far as how many hours on set with either of the soap operas? And was it, were you shooting several episodes in a day?
Yeah. So with the Bold and the Beautiful, we always had Mondays off, and we always had a month off in the Christmas, New Year's, and we had a month off during the summer. So what we had to do the rest of the year is make sure we had shows for every single day of the week during the year, even though we weren't shooting. So we would do about a show and a half a day. Mm-hmm. Generally, if you were real busy, we'd work 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week. And it was very intense when you were working. A lot of dialogue, a lot of time there. But, you always had Monday off. You always had 2 months off during the year, and you were shooting in Los Angeles, as opposed to when you're doing a film, you can be on location, which sounds really sexy and exciting when you're young and don't have a family and all that sort of stuff. But when you're married or whatever, and it's you really have to either uproot your wife to go with you, or, leave your husband for a month or so, it's not so easy. And so most people, most actors who aren't doing films all the time but are on TV really welcome the ability to work, not have to leave Los Angeles.
So after Bold and the Beautiful, what happened from there? Take us through some of the opportunities that developed for you in between that and Studio City, which is this incredible production you're working on now.
Yeah. I've always been a guy that tries to do a lot of things. I left Bold and Beautiful for a little while to produce and star in a film that Lionsgate distributed that you mentioned called Chasing Holden, a story about a young guy that runs away from boarding school to find J.D. Salinger. That was a project of passion of mine that I had worked on for a very long time. I've left from time to time to do theater and other things. I mean, I try and pick things and projects that interest me and that I want to do. I mean, yeah, sometimes you need to take a job because, like everybody, I need to earn a living. But we always say there's kind of three reasons for an acting job. You do it for the money, you do it for who you're going to work with, what amazing actors or directors, or for what the material is. And if you get 2 out of the 3, that's great. And every now and then in your career, you get 3 out of 3, and you're really blessed.
Absolutely. Theater, you mentioned theater too. Do you love theater? If something came along, Broadway or what have you, would you consider that?
I would love to do Broadway. I would love to do a play on Broadway. Absolutely.
Have there been any close calls or opportunities?
I really haven't. I haven't sort of put my toe in the water on the East Coast that way. But I have. I've produced 2 plays. Actually, both the same play. I did True West at 2 different times in my career. And that was an amazing experience. One time I did it with Martin Kove, who played Sensei Kreese on in the Karate Kid films and who's now starring on Cobra Kai. And I welcome theater. I just think it's so great because you have usually you have like 6-7 weeks of rehearsal where you're not rushed. You can really deconstruct the character and get into it. Whereas TV moves very, very quickly. And then once the curtain comes up, there's no cut. I mean, for better or for worse, you're going, man. It's like it's kind of like a bat out of hell till the curtain closes, and it's in front of a live audience, and there's that instant reciprocity, knowing, if you're connecting with them, and even though you're saying the same words every night, it's never the same performance. The audience is different. The way you're interacting as an actor with your other actors is different, and so it's a different experience, and I find that exciting.
Do you ever get a chance to see some of your co-actors and actresses that you worked with in The Karate Kid 3, in The Outsiders, Bold and Beautiful, General Hospital? Do you ever mingle or catch up with any of the past talent?
Well, like I said, I've worked with Martin Kove several times over the years. We've done autograph signings together for Karate Kid fans, things like that. I see people that are on the soaps all the time, and now in Studio City, I've got 4 or 5 actors that I've worked with on daytime who are in our cast. Tristan Rogers, who just won the Emmy for Best Supporting Actor on Studio City. Right. Patrika Darbo and Carolyn Hennessy and Sarah Brown. And, I'm really blessed to work with some great performers that I've worked with in the past. And so that kind of affords us a little bit of a shorthand.
Let's talk about that. That's really, I know this is a project that is near and dear to your heart, and it really is, like you talk about roles that really represent the essence of who you are, and this really is your baby, Studio City. What was the inspiration for creating Studio City? And tell us a little bit about it for anybody who hasn't had a chance to catch it on Amazon Prime as of yet. What sort of spurred you on to want to create this fantastic baby of yours, Studio City, Sean?
Well, first of all, let me apologize to all your viewers who are from outside the United States, because unfortunately it's not available yet, but we are working very diligently to make sure that season 2 will be available to all of you, and of course season 1 as well. Studio City is something that I have worked on for a very, very long time. They say write what you know, and I have worked in the world of daytime television for 3 decades off and on, and that's what I know. And I wanted to create a character who was a guy that was starring on a soap opera, who ostensibly from the outside in seems like he's got the world by the tail, but as you start to peel away the onion, you realize that this guy is very flawed. He's got a lot of the same challenges that we all have, and he's actually very relatable. So my character, Sam Stevens, stars on the #2 soap opera in the world called Hearts on Fire. We pick up the show where he is in the middle of a vicious contract negotiation, and because the studio is not getting their way, they bring on kind of a younger, more handsome version of Sam to nip at his heels. I've got a gold digging girlfriend. I've got an overbearing stage mom. Just a lot of crazy stuff going on. He's a guy that always sort of thought he should have had a bigger career. In his mind, he should have been an action star. And at one point, he's talking to the producer of the show, who's in this contract negotiation. She goes, "Sammy, do I have to tell you? Do I have to say it? You're just too old." Mm-hmm. And so the show deals with a lot of really poignant social issues. Ageism, that's something that's really, it's a thing when you work on a soap opera, and my character is no longer the young buck. He's now matured into the sort of the older leading man.
Right.
And, that comes with some growing pains. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Either you do it gracefully or you kind of, don't go softly into that good night. But when that happens, you bump into things in the dark sometimes. And I like that one. I'm gonna keep that.
Write that
down. As you're watching the show, you realize that this guy that you might not really want to like when you first see him, you're like, wow, he's kind of a sympathetic guy, and he thought he should have maybe been an action star, and that he should have had this bigger life, and bigger comes in the form of a character that he never knew existed at the end of the pilot, and it turns Sam's life completely upside down.
Mm.
Yeah.
So how long ago did you create this idea, you and your team, of putting Studio City together? Was this something that was always sort of in your back pocket, or did it come together quickly, the idea and the premise?
It was always in my back pocket over a decade ago, and it was something I work on, I put away. And then through a series of relationships, the opportunity arose where it was possible to get it made. There were a couple key factors, one of which was my creative partner, Timothy Woodward Jr., who is the director and showrunner. I had done 2 films for Tim, one called Gangsterland with Jason Patrick, and then I just last year did a film called Beyond the Law with Steven Seagal and DMX. And I was talking to Tim, and my wife knew Tim, and we were sort of, trying to plant the seed to see if this is something that he would be interested in doing. And to his credit, he did. We brought my wife on as a producer. Michelle's a producer and a writer. I'm so proud of her. She won the Indie Series Award for Outstanding Writing.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. And so, originally the show was going to be a 30-minute comedy and a dramedy. And through a lot of discussions with the team and, dealing with what, the financial constraints that we had, and we decided that, a digital series was going to be the way to go. And so at that point, we all got in there and had to sort of deconstruct the original script, write new scripts. The characters are, I would say the main characters are almost entirely the characters that I had initially worked with, thought of, etc. But then there were a lot of new aspects that were created by Michelle and by another one of our writers, Lauren de Normandy, and by Tim. So, we've got a really solid core creative group, and we've got just some great story that we want to tell in season 2, and we are in the process of figuring out how to do that. One of the things that I'm really proud about is that we tackled these social issues. Right. And nobody wants to be beaten over the head and preached to. Right. At the end of the show is supposed to be entertaining, which it is, but we do deal with some heavy stuff. One of the things I'm really proud of is we made history because one of our actors, Scott Turner Schofield, is the first trans man ever nominated for an Emmy, which means that our show was the first show to ever have a trans man nominated for an Emmy.
Wow. And so groundbreaking.
Yeah, it was groundbreaking. It really is. And the show has surprises. You watch it and you kind of think you understand what the flavor of the show is, and then there's a curveball thrown, and I think that's why they're relating to it.
That's cool. And what has the feedback been so far? Because there's a lot of people talking about it in comments here during the live show that we're doing together, Sean. They're loving it. They want more of it. Has the feedback really surprised you? People have really caught on. They got the premise and they're loving it and they want more rather quickly, huh?
Yeah, the big challenge of doing a short form digital show, especially one that it's the first season, is how do you introduce the audience to all of these characters, get them to connect to them in a really short amount of time, and tell some story. And that's difficult, and I think we did that fairly effectively. The feedback's been pretty amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no way that I could have expected that we would have been nominated for 12 Indie Series Awards and 8 Emmys. It was startling. I mean, it was just, it took my breath away. It really did. I don't think we could have asked for much more.
Especially right out of the gate.
Maybe winning a few more.
A few more. There could always be more. But I mean, especially, right out of the gate like that too. You know what I mean? That is so rare. There's some shows it takes years before they get any industry or peer acknowledgement. And you guys already have, all of this built up in a short period of time. That just fuels you guys to continue it, right? Because obviously you're getting the love and adulation and the fan base really understands the story and wants more of it. But then the industry itself, which is always one of the hardest, you can get the love of fans, but it's hardest to get it from peers in the industry, and you're getting it.
I think that a lot of the people that voted for the Emmys and the Indie Series Awards are actors in daytime. And I think they really liked my character because I tried to play a very realistic version of what it's like to be a guy that stars on a show, but you still have a lot of the same problems that everybody has, and I think they could relate to it, and I think there's a great line where I say to Michael James Lazar, who plays my agent, I say, look, man, I know that if I could just get in the right room, I could really do something, but I just need you to kick down the doors. And I know every actor feels like that. We all feel like, our best performance is still yet to come if we can just get seen. And I think I'm extrapolating and supposing, but I think a lot of actors were like, wow, he just really said what I've felt for a long time. And I think they keyed into it.
That's really, really cool. So you were mentioning that right now, of course, with everything that we're all experiencing, where everything's been sort of paused and, we're working out of our homes and doing what we can to stay connected and be creative. And you've got the juices still flowing and you're creating while you're there. What are some of the things you guys are doing as you look to the next season and sort of get that prepared for when we are able to start filming and shooting and going into the studios and places again?
Michelle and I have a lot of ideas for story, as does our showrunner Tim. We need to all get together and decide what the arc of season 2 is going to be. It's funny as my days go by and I think of things, I put notes down that are little, kind of embryonic concepts for things that might later, germinate into a storyline. It is collaborative. That's been one of the really good lessons for me on this is, I came into this with a very specific vision, and that vision was elevated and made better by my creative partners. And that's what, all you can hope for. I mean, you hope that you have this idea that's on paper, and then that becomes elevated. And then the actors that eventually are doing the lines on set take it even to a higher level. And that's why I say this has been such a collaboration. So
that's right.
I think we're all looking forward to, sitting down together and starting to hammer it out.
Did the fans, I'm sure the fans usually try to guide the show. You probably had that too with the soap operas, because soap opera fans are very, very loyal to the soap opera and to the characters, as I'm sure they are with Studio City, where I remember, was it Dick Van Dyke? Yeah, Dick Van Dyke had a fantastic quote. For all those years that he was with Mary Tyler Moore as Robin Laura Petrie, and then Mary Tyler Moore went off to do her series.
Mm-hmm.
There was a period where I think on CBS they brought back elements of Dick Van Dyke's show, but it was a totally different scenario, just certain elements, but a totally different scenario. And he had a whole different location, a new wife, Hope Lang, and some woman saw him in the supermarket, and she came up to him and she like slapped him on his shoulder and says, "How dare you leave and cheat on Laura Petrie?" I'm sure you've had people in roles you've been in tell you, especially with the soap operas, because they can get a little wild, what you should do with the character, and how could you have done that? Why'd you leave her? And all that.
Yeah, they fall into two categories. It's generally little kids who want to come up and kick me in the shin for beating up Daniel and Karate Kid. And then it's women who come up to my wife and say, he's a really bad guy. And she's like, Sean?
Yeah.
He got pregnant. So,
they get him confused.
I get the compliment, right?
That's it. I also want to talk about something else. You are an author too, which is really, really cool. And do you see yourself penning more books? Is this something you want to do continually? You have this book here, Success Factor X. Tell us about this book here with Jill Lieberman that has really become very, very widely received and bestseller, and has led to this incredible inspirational speaking genre that you're a part of as well, which is really terrific, Sean.
So almost 20 years ago, Jill created a book called American Pride, where it was kind of a coffee table book of celebrities, famous people, etc., and it was what America meant to them. And I was fortunate enough to be in that book. A couple of years ago, out of the blue, Jill called me to wish me a happy birthday, and we hadn't spoken in quite a while. And by the time we hung up the phone, I had pitched her the idea for this book, and we hung up writing partners. And what we did was we went out to 50 exceptional individuals in all different fields, and we said, what's your best advice about success? And the response we got was incredible. Anthony Robbins is in the book, Mark Cuban, Sarah Blakely, the first female billionaire, Hall of Fame baseball players, football players, actors. Daytime is very well represented in the book. Daryl McDaniels, the founding member of Run DMC, Don King. It's just a crazy group of people, and they all gave their advice about success. And what's interesting is all of these successful people, none of them talk about their success in terms of monetary accomplishment or the materialistic things that they've acquired in their life. They talk about it in terms of their ability to influence others, help other people achieve their dreams, and to kind of live your most authentic life. And I mean, I think everybody has a masterpiece within themselves, and that masterpiece is living your authentic life and sharing it with the world. And in doing so, that acts as a touchstone to help people live their most authentic life and change the world. So you asked me if I'll be writing any other books. I've been working on another book for quite a while. I don't feel like I'm on any specific time schedule to get it done, but I probably will within the next 2 years. And it's kind of an autobiographical self-help book. It's a lot of the things that I've learned throughout the years, things that have helped me, and just some stuff that I'd like to pass on. And so, my father's an author. He's written, I don't know, he's written probably 8 or 9 books by now. And so I kind of have it in my family. And I definitely will be writing another book. It takes a lot of time. You know what I mean? So balancing when I can do it in the midst of everything else. Yeah, last year for me was really incredible because I wrote a list of goals that I had, and my 2 big goals were getting Studio City made and getting Success Factor X published. And honestly, there was a point where I was like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to get either of these done. And then I was like, shut up. Yes, you are. You're going to do it. Just, focus. And I kept my nose to the grindstone with it. And I just kept moving forward.
Life is all about balance too, and trying to achieve balance and harmonious situations. How are you able to balance? I mean, now over the last couple of months, we've all been able to sort of, our interesting ways with being home and being with loved ones. But generally, when things are cranking for you, what are some of the strategies, some of the techniques, some of the methods you use to be able to balance that work, home, family dynamic, so everything is tended to and everything is harmonious as best as it can be?
Well, starting with the family, I mean, I speak to my parents a couple times a week. I am very close to my family. Michelle is my best friend. I spend an inordinate amount of time with my wife because we just enjoy each other's company, and she's my creative partner. So that kind of takes care of itself because that's a garden that I water frequently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do certain things that are just for me. One of my passions is studying foreign languages, and so I've been studying Mandarin for the last year and a half. And a couple times a week, I have a Mandarin lesson with a friend of mine who's in China, and I keep up with my martial arts. And so those are things that's my time for me. And I like to stay connected with my friends and be of service and be involved in charitable organizations. I'm very involved with anti-bullying and several other nonprofit charity sort of things. And so that's the stuff that keeps me grounded. That's the stuff that keeps me moving forward and hopefully in the right direction.
Sometimes actors, performers, singers, musicians, actually any of us that are in the creative arts, we can make the career, the job, all the trappings of it almost more important than the other things in our life, and it can easily consume you, and then you sort of lose the authentic sense of who you are because you're always that other person that's on stage or on TV or on the radio or wherever it is. How do you separate from the characters and from Sean Kanan, the public persona, and Sean Kanan, the family man, the guy who, is relaxing at the house, working in the yard, whatever? Are you able to? Some people can't pull away from each. They almost like the public persona more than the authentic self. How are you able to master all of it?
I think it took me a long time to realize that my sense of happiness cannot be completely derived from my career. It was very much like that for me in my 30s and largely in my 40s. I'm 53 now, and like I said, I've learned a few things. I think that when you work in entertainment and the arts, it's a very difficult path, and you have to learn to find your happiness outside of your work. That doesn't mean that you don't, fight like hell, work as hard as you can, but if I sat around right now and complained about the fact that because of the coronavirus, I'm not in production on season 2 of my show, that would be what my reality is. And am I disappointed and frustrated at times. Sure, that's normal, but it doesn't stop me from continuing to try and move forward in my career. But simultaneously, I have my other life that makes me happy, even when I'm not always doing what I love, which is performing. And I think that's so important, no matter what you do. I mean, whether you're selling insurance or anything else, I think it's imperative that you find something that makes you happy. And I say something because someone is in my estimation is not the right answer. You can be happy from a relationship you have with someone else, but you can't look to someone else to make you happy or put that on their shoulders. It's not fair to them. Yeah, I'm really lucky that I've got a great partner. She makes me laugh. I only want to strangle her about twice a month. She wants to day, which is pretty understandable.
She wants to do you every day with strength. That's about the norm, right?
Yeah, I think so.
If you asked your parents, the answer would be the same.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've largely found my ability to be happy in most situations.
Which is right. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that. What would you say to somebody who might watch this live now or watch this, in the archives, Sean, who wanted to pursue acting as a career? A number of people I've talked to lately have said that a few things have changed, and they've changed as far as some people, because we're living in such a celebrity driven buzz and bling culture, which I think now what we're going through might be resetting some of that. We're sort of getting grounded and understanding what's really important in life, our family, our loved ones, nature, the environment, all the things that matter in our life. But some people will go into these careers, the arts, in every way, shape, or form, because of the being famous, the buzz and the bling, all the trappings of it, as opposed to the love of the art form and understanding the rejection and the hard work and the hours and the toil and all the personalities that you're dealing with. What would you say to somebody who's going into it because they want to be rich and famous?
I'd say there are a lot of easier ways to become rich.
Yeah.
Fame is different. Fame has upsides. It has downsides. I think anyone, they asked a bunch of kids, they said, what do you want to do when you grow up? And most kids say, I want to be famous. Well, okay, for what? I think if you want to be an actor, you need to think really long and hard, or anything in the arts. Is this really what I want to do? Because like I said, there's a lot of other ways to make an impact on the world, to be very successful, to make money, to make a difference, that are easier than being an actor. If you decide that that's what is within you, that is your, that's your masterpiece to share with the world, so to speak, then treat it seriously. Study, read everything. I tell people, study a foreign language, travel. Watch movies, watch performances, learn as much as you can, study a martial art. You never know who it is that you're going to be asked to portray. And the more knowledge that you have about different things, the better equipped you're going to be to assume these other roles. Sometimes I lament to myself that I didn't go to Juilliard, that I didn't go to Yale drama, and I got a political science degree. But what I learned in political science that doesn't directly apply to acting, although sometimes it does, has rounded me out in other areas where sometimes somebody who has just a straight Masters of Fine Art type education becomes a little myopic.
Right.
I would also say that this is one of the best times, not right now with the coronavirus, prior to this, to get into performing, because when I started, there wasn't the internet. And now everybody has the ability with a smartphone to film a scene, sing, do something, and put it online and get noticed. And you have the ability now to send something of yourself to someone who might be able to help you up that next rung. They used to always say when I was beginning, hey, do you have any tape? Meaning, is there something I can see you on?
Let's see the demo reel.
Right, exactly. And it was hard to get tape, so to speak, unless you were hired to do a job.
Right.
So it's a bit 22. Now you can create your own tape and show people your work.
Right.
Yeah.
And you weren't always able to get the tape too. Sometimes the production companies or, film houses or TV stations, networks would say, no, we don't make it available to you. And you'd have to tape it off with VHS and poor quality and include that. It's like
exactly I did it, man.
And edit hours of 3/4 inch tape and, splice. And now you just.
I did that, sitting with the editor.
Me too. I still have stacks of tapes, 3/4 and all of this. And I'm like, oh my God, and it's like master tape stuff. And I'm afraid to like get rid of it because it's like the master of the master.
Right.
What are a couple of things that you've learned along the way about yourself, Sean, from when you left Newcastle, Pennsylvania to who Sean Kanan is today? I'm sure there's a lot of depth and wisdom, and with time and experience and, with age and with all the incredible things that you've had an opportunity to take part in. There's a lot when you talk to people about inspiration and empowerment that you offer them because of the richness of the experiences. You've had sort of small town, hometown upbringing, which has its sensibilities and roots and foundation. And then you've seen, Hollywood, you've seen entertainment, you've seen all of the trappings of that can, engulf somebody as well. What are some of the things you've learned along the way about yourself, Sean?
I've learned that I'm definitely resilient. I have absolutely been kicked in the teeth multiple times. Sometimes I deserved it, other times I didn't. And I've always managed to gather myself up and either recreate myself or recombinate myself and go on. I've learned that life is not a 50-yard dash, it's a marathon, but there are moments that define your life where you need to make good, smart decisions and you need to be able to deliver. Sometimes within a moment, and those moments can potentially change your life. Everybody, like charging your battery, that's one. Okay.
It's a big one.
Listen, everybody has stories of opportunities lost, opportunities blown. And if you learn from those, it sounds cliche, but if you can learn from them, then, it mitigates the downside. I've learned the importance of being a good friend. That's something that I value highly. I value being a good husband. I think that, what you put out in the world, you generally get back. Life is not fair. You don't always get good when you put out good, but I think that's what defines us. And, I've made plenty of mistakes throughout my life, but for the most part, I can hold my head up high. And, I think I'm a stand-up guy, and that's important. And I think also that having a strong sense of self and good character allows you to be a better actor and artist. It's not something that necessarily is provable, but I think it's true.
That's really poignantly said, and it's so true. And having the sense of self, and sometimes in the early years, we don't have the sense of self necessarily because we're always influenced by our peers and what everybody else is doing. And I should be at this party, I should be at this event, I should be over here doing this, doing what that one's doing. And then we sort of weed through it and we sort of say, well, that's not really what I enjoy doing, or that's not what I really want to do, or that doesn't speak to my soul or speak to my heart. That's not for me. And as time goes on, you get to sort of, like you've done with Studio City, you get to sort of pick and choose the things that really represent the essence of who Sean is and the people you want to work with and the stories that you want to tell. And because we're all storytellers, and the impact that you want to really make on people's lives to lift them up and give them an opportunity to really maybe reflect and question some of the decisions that they make as well. That's really what it's all about, right, Sean?
Absolutely. I think it's kind of like it's the dropping the pebble in the pond thing. You never know what the ripple is going to ignite in somebody else, and the ability to inspire other people, the ability to be a source of information and help for other people is something that I enjoy. It's given me a lot of pleasure over the years to do some mentoring and work with some younger people and watch them kind of blossom into who they're meant to be, and then in turn pass it on. So
that's a cool thing, isn't it? When you have an opportunity to do that, you have people come up to you and say, "Hey, I saw you on Bold and the Beautiful, General Hospital, The Karate Kid, all these different things," and now they look to you as, a mentor, as a guide. Tell them what to.
I mean, you know what I mean? I'm like, because we all know what our life has been, and sometimes we look in the mirror and tend to see some of our darkest moments in our valleys, instead of looking at the top of the mountain and some of the great things we've all done. And it's that negative tape, and that's that I still work on. I think everybody's got that internal critic, and I don't think anybody can get rid of it, but I think we all need to work on being kinder to ourselves. And that's
I know what that's like. Yeah.
It's tough because you sort of think you don't deserve it on some level. And I don't have it memorized, and I wish I do, but there's that amazing speech that Nelson Mandela gave at his inauguration that was it's actually written by Marianne Williamson, where he talks about how playing small to the world doesn't serve anybody. Who are you not to be brilliant, fantastic, amazing? Playing small to the world doesn't serve the world, because in doing so, you shut yourself off from other people. Yeah, I wish I had it memorized. I should have it memorized. But if you haven't read it, please, I would encourage all of you to read Nelson Mandela's speech from his inauguration. It is one of the most uplifting things that I've ever read, and I read that all the time when I speak to groups. That and the poem Invictus is another.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So.
Who are some of the others that you're mentioning? Some great names here, along the way, whether they're in the acting world or just inspirational leaders. Who are some of the people that have inspired you along the way, Sean?
I've drawn inspiration from different people. My sensei, when I was training, when I was very young, I believe to a certain extent we all have many fathers throughout our lifetime, and he certainly was somebody that was one for me. My own father, I've learned immensely from. My mother, my wife. I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing people, and sometimes you work with people that are very famous, well-known people, and you realize that while they may be extremely talented in one area, they are sorely lacking personally, and you learn that from them. Fortunately, that hasn't happened too many times in my life, but it's happened a few times. And I think for me, the greatest teacher has been a lot of the mistakes that I've made and been able to overcome and learn from. So I think in a lot of respects, if you're continually growing and evolving, we can be our own best teacher.
That's right. A couple of people asked, if you didn't go into acting, what else would you be? For me, if I didn't go into television, radio, broadcasting, and all of this, I studied architecture and design, and I still love that. What would it be for you?
If I had to do it all over again and I wasn't going to be an actor, I think I would have gone into the military for a while. I think I would have come out, and I think I would have embarked on a political career. I would have run for Congress, Senate. I'm very interested in politics.
I was just about to say, would have, or could you still?
It's become so divisive and vitriolic that there's simply
It's turned you off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not something I would subject myself to or my family to. It's become such a different animal, even from what it was 20 years ago.
Right, in just a short period of time. When you do something, when you're doing a production and it airs, do you watch yourself? Some people won't watch their work, look at their work. I look at my work to critique it and to see would I be convinced by what I just did, what I just said. And sometimes if there's people in the room, I'll say, okay, well, it's gonna pop up on TV or what have you. Pretend you don't know me. Would you be convinced by what that guy just said? But for me, to really appreciate what everybody else was saying, wow, you were spot on. That was cool. You nailed it. I don't hear that right away. I have to be emotionally detached from the work. I'll pull out tapes of stuff I did 10, 15, 20 years ago and watch it now. And now I'll appreciate all those great kindnesses people have said.
Right.
I got to be emotionally detached from the investment that I made in it because I'm still invested in the emotion of it. So I can't appreciate it and love it right away.
I kind of vacillate between the two. You know, when it's something like Studio City and I'm able to watch myself in the editing room, and you know, I'm in a unique position as a producer on the show that I have the ability to have significant input in my performance, and that's something that most actors don't have.
I think his battery cut out. Maybe he'll come back. But wasn't that a great conversation? I mean, he was really talking about some of the understanding of people and, you know, understanding self and the importance of appreciating yourself and what you bring to the table and some of the things that really inspire him to continue the journey. Of course, he started with the Karate Kid 3, which was an amazing way to begin. But then you have General Hospital, Bold and the Beautiful, The Outsiders before all of that as well. And then he creates Studio City, which is available. I think it's Amazon Prime, because a lot of you have been talking about it. Some of you already have seen the first season of it. But they're working on the second season, as he was saying, but you know, with everything going on, with everything shut, the studios and everything, hopefully they'll be able to kick that into gear again, which would be really great because so many of you I know want to check that out on Amazon Prime. But it was really great to hear some of what he's talking about as far as being in Hollywood and being surrounded by, you know, all of those things that lure you in, the trappings of everything, and how to really differentiate yourself from some of that. Stay grounded. Remember the roots and maybe some of the things you were taught early on by family and maybe by other mentors and teachers as well. And to not lose sight of that, because it's really easy to lose sight. I mean, I've even seen it in my work, you know, in television and radio and stage and all, where there are lots of, you know, lights and glamorous moments and things of that nature, but there's a heck of a lot of work that goes into all of it, and a lot of time and a lot of travel and just a lot of setup and everything for the amount of time that we have. And there you are. There you are. You did. Yeah, I did a little vamping. I was talking inspiration and everything. You know, us broadcaster types, no dead air. We can keep going. What happened? You have an earthquake? The dog jumped on your lap.
Let's go with that. Sorry, everyone.
No. Everybody stayed here. Nobody left. Yeah. I said his battery must have died out. Actually, that's really good lighting where you are now. It's warm. It's like the sun.
At a friend's house, they have the cool green walls and everything. So
it bounces off nice.
Yeah.
You were just talking about, you know, whether you're able to really watch your work right after seeing it. There are some actors, is it Johnny Depp or somebody, where they won't watch anything that they did, no movies. Maybe Tom Cruise said that too. Some of them won't watch anything they ever do. I will, to critique myself, but I need that separation. People will say, "Oh, that was great. I appreciate that," but it takes time for me to really understand it. I have to be emotionally detached.
Yeah, I can watch myself, but I'm very critical of it. I nitpick, especially stuff that I did early in my career. Um, you know, I can see it like an evolution in my acting, and a lot of that happens as we mature as men and women. They are it's very hard to have a depth of performance when you're somebody who's 19, 20 years old. There are some old souls out there, but thank you, Alice says, welcome back.
Right.
Ernestine, thank you. There's some old souls out there, but you need to. My acting teacher used to always say something that I never really understood until I understood it, and he said, "You are going to be such a better actor once you've had your heart broken." And I didn't understand it, and now I understand it, intimately. But it's the times that life kicks us in the teeth, and it's the times that we have to pick ourselves up from defeat and disappointment and how we react to it that layers the depth of who we are as people. And I think that if you can take that and transmit it to your acting, to your work, or whatever you're doing, singing, anything, even if you're not in the arts, that's what makes us more interesting human beings, and ultimately more interesting in what we do for a living.
Absolutely. You were also talking about what you would do. You said the military would be one thing that you would do if not acting.
Military, and then I think I'd run for political office.
For legal office as well. So, in how have you been getting through just yourself, staying focused, staying positive during, you turn on the news and the world seems like it's ending to some people, and it can be really tough. What are you doing to stay focused and positive? Of course, you have your family, your loved ones there, and I'm sure you're all lifting each other up concurrently, which is really important. What are some of the things you're doing to keep motivated, keep the juices going, and to keep, grounded and happy?
I drink heavily. I find that helps.
That works. Yes, that works.
I try really hard to stay connected with my friends and my family on the phone, to keep that sense of community. Like I said, I've got the things that I do that are for me, my martial arts, my language study. And I still, even though I'm not currently working on a show right now per se, I'm doing a lot of interviews and things like that to promote it. So I try and keep my days pretty structured, and that helps. I'm a person of faith. I have a relationship with God, and I believe that this too shall pass, and that we will hopefully get through this and be better for it. And so I just try and stay positive. And look, everyone has tough days. How could you not? How could you not, with everything going on? And I've got it better than a lot of people do. But somebody who's losing their business that they spent a lifetime building, or God forbid they've lost loved ones, or God forbid they're sick themselves. How do you continue to stay positive with those circumstances? So I'm saying it's natural that everybody at some point or another, falls into the abyss of momentary despair. That's what makes us human. It's the climbing out of it and keeping on that does it. One of the funny things that I've done in quarantine, or whatever you want to call it, I've done a lot of stuff that is kind of childlike. I find my wife and I will play games, and we do stuff that you don't necessarily have time for when you're in the thick of it, in the rat race, all that stuff. And we've really had the luxury of spending some time together and working on, just being together. And in that sense, it's kind of been some of this, I almost feel guilty saying it, but it's been a bit of a gift. I'm ready for that gift to end. but in the meantime, it's like,
right.
You got to make lemonade, right?
You really, really do. And it's funny because you mentioned childlike things. We did a nostalgic episode when I launched this again 12 weeks ago out of the home studio, and brought out the Matchbox cars and the baseball cards and the kaleidoscopes and the board games. And it was unbelievable. It was on fire because so many people want the nostalgia and going back to their childhood and things that make them feel grounded and things that they remember and things that put a smile on their face. So usually, I didn't do it earlier, but usually I even open this show with George Burns. And there he is with the cigar, and he greets everybody. This was a family heirloom that got passed down to me when he was 100, I guess. And then we do the genie bottle. Talking about the childhood.
I have to tell you this. I apologize profusely to everybody, but my iPad, even though it's charging, is at 1%, and I may lose you again.
Oh my God!
I apologize.
No.
Most of the time when you do these interviews, they're 30 minutes. We've been talking an hour and a half almost, and so I didn't realize it would be that long. My fault. Mea culpa.
No, not at all. Inquiring minds want to know: are you handy around the house?
I am the opposite house, but Merlin.
Yeah.
My wife is beyond handy. So, my parents came over, and I think it was the first time they had met Michelle, and she was on the roof of our then house, dropping electric wiring through the ceiling and wiring a chandelier.
Wow.
I mean, she's certified to build computers. I mean, she's super handy. We got a new sink a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I'm the guy holding the wrench, handing it to her when she's under there. It's embarrassing, but you know what? Listen,
hey,
God giveth.
Everybody has their gifts, right? Absolutely. Right. Well, do you have your glass nearby in case your iPad conks out there? We want to do a toast.
Got one little sip left.
Wow, that was that was filled when we started. To you, Sean.
Cheers,
it was really awesome having you on the show.
Getting to talk to you and know you and your audience. Listen, if you guys want to keep up with what I do, please follow me on social. I'm on Twitter at Sean Kanan and Instagram Sean.Kanan. I really do my best to try and respond to everybody and keep in touch. And Jim, I hope you.
He's right. His iPad conked out, but he got his goodbyes in there, which was really, really good. And raise a glass to Sean. And raise a glass to all of you. Wasn't that a great conversation? His energy and his iPad, he was trying to charge everything up as much as he could. Let's take a look at some of the great comments that we've had coming in here. He may try to come back for a neat goodbye, but if he can't, hey, that was terrific having him here for the time that we did. We really appreciate it. Christine says on another topic, besides Sean's success with the soap operas, film and TV credits, he's a terrific author, right? We talked about that earlier. Sean wrote a book on cooking, wondering if during these at-home days, were there any new dishes created by any new ideas and comfort foods? We were talking about all that last night, right? The comfort foods. Sean, you're so wise. Thank you for sharing your story. Young people need to hear this for sure. The road is not easy, and everyone's story will not end the same. Everyone has to do their best at what they want to do with their lives and with the choices they make. We are blessed. Yours was acting. Willie says, great conversation with Sean. Absolutely. Kathleen says, great show, great guest. He really is terrific, and he's welcome back anytime. And he and I will talk, later on. Usually we talk with the guests after the show. So he and I will be chatting on the phone after, and we'll thank him again. He spent a good deal of time with us, which a lot of the guests do. And again, they're free to stay as long as they want. I don't cut them off. This isn't about news headlines or sound bites. It's a conversation. The whole thing is a conversation. And glad you enjoyed the conversation, Alice and Angie watching on YouTube. Yes, we'll always keep the door open for him. He's welcome back anytime. Very interesting conversation with Sean. We always have great conversations on the show. We talk about some of the things that you might know the person for, and then we get into some really cool things that you don't necessarily know, and now you know about a person, who the person is, the authenticity of that individual. Fantastic. Thanks, Jim. Daphne, thank you for watching on YouTube at Jim Masters TV. Joseph, it's good to see you in Stamford, Connecticut. Wonderful interview. Thank you, gentlemen. It is our pleasure. Jennifer Barry, I'm so humbled, and thank you to you both. Jen is Zen. You've been Zen on several of the episodes of our series. I really, I'm very happy to hear that. My dear friend, Robbie Ludwig. Great job, Jim. So excited for you. Thank you, Robbie. I appreciate that. And really, really nice of you to say that, my friend. Danilo, San Diego, this is a really fascinating interview. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Also adds to that by saying, Mr. Loveity, excellent choice of a guest in your talk show. Very informative, entertaining, loving, and enjoying it at the fullest. That is fantastic. Daphne says, wow, Jennifer is still Zen. That's really a good thing. Alice liked my question on balance and harmony and how you achieve that. And thank you, Jim and Sean. Humbled. Thank you to you both. Thank you as well. Great show. Thank you, Angie. This is a great conversation. Love it. Thank you, Kathleen, as well. And he gave you, before he had to scoot off because his iPad battery died out, he gave you the information as far as where you can find him, websites and things of that nature as well. So feel free, to do that. And Amazon Prime is where Studio City is. That is the name of that series, Studio City, if you're looking for that. And taking a look at a couple of more comments coming in, which we always love to do. Some really nice stuff. You guys have really been active. This is a very viewer-centric, viewer-interactive show. And Merlin, he answered your question about, is he handy around the house? Not so much, he said. He said his wife really, really is. And you guys said bye to him, and he saw all of that, which is really cool. And Jennifer says, I have my original Matchbox cars. So do I. And we showed them on our nostalgic night. We whipped out all our Matchbox cars. I still have them. They're actually here on set. They're still here on set. Rini says his wife sounds awesome. Yes. And just before we went live on the air, I was talking to him. His daughter was texting him just before he went on the air. And his daughter is now getting her very first place, like her first apartment. So it's a big thing for the family. So his daughter was texting him probably about 2 minutes before we went live on the air, keeping him updated on some of the things that are happening as she's getting her very first place. He said his daughter's 19, and that's a really, really cool thing, really important thing for the family. Merlin's batteries always die. Got stocking stuffer gift from Merlin. We're going to get Merlin more batteries. We'll have Santa Claus. She's in Canada, so she lives closer to the North Pole. So Merlin is closer to where Santa Claus is, and Rudolph and Mrs. Claus and all the rest, Kris Kringle, and she's just like one step away from. So you could probably in a day, right? You can just take a car and get up to the North Pole, and but we'll see if we can get Santa Claus to deliver some stocking stuffer batteries for you. Dream of Jeannie, cheers, good stuff, great comments, great episode, and he was terrific, right? You still have some of your Barbie dolls. Yes, we got the cheers and toasting. Before the bad connection when he got disconnected there. Yeah, he's at his friend's house. He's not at his house. That wasn't his house where he was doing the broadcast. He's at his friend's house. So he was using, remote equipment, whatever he could use. But he and I are staying in touch, and we'll probably, when I'm out in California, we'll probably get together with him and Kathy Garver, Stan Livingston, some of the other folks that we've had on. Really fantastic and informative interview. Thank you very much, Christine. If you missed any of it, it was about an hour and a half. We chatted straight on. We went right into the interview after just greeting some of the viewers, and you can see the whole thing. at Jim Masters TV on YouTube. Another great show where you went deeper, and that's what makes you unique. Yeah, I love to go deep. The reason why I love to go deep is because I know it makes the person feel comfortable to express, because sometimes, with sound bites and with other interviews, they got to rush it all in. Okay, tell us about the movie, tell us about the book, tell us about the new show. What's your character? What's your character's plot line? What was it like when you did this? And what was that? And then it's the same rote stuff. You know what I mean? Here you got an essence of who Sean Kanan is. Even though he, had his battery died out, you got like 100% of who he is, which was fantastic, right? And I like to bring that. I do that professionally in my work in television radio. One of the hats I wear, interviewing, and I've always done that. I always like to get to, to the place where the person I'm chatting with is comfortable. That's why I don't call it an interview. I call it a conversation. So they feel comfortable and they express themselves, and they get a chance to express themselves in ways that they normally don't get to. A toast to both of you and all of the loveities. That is fantastic. Thank you very much, Alice and Rini. And I will pass that along. I'm sure he saw that. Slancha and Salute and Alice. Jim, you're an awesome interviewer. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Crystal as well. Thank you. That's right. Never boring. Amazing night, Carla in Brazil. Love it. Angie, where are you from? If you're still with us, where are you from? What city, state, country, town? Carla is from Brazil. And let's see, a couple more comments coming in here. And another great show. We went deeper. That's what makes you unique. Marilyn says, interesting listening. Danilo and Renee watch Studio City. Yeah. A couple more. No worries, because as we say, if you missed an episode, you can go back in the archives and you can see this entire episode and all the episodes, all 12 weeks of the Jim Masters Show live series, our talk show entertainment lifestyle series, and all the loveity by just going right to the YouTube channel. And if you could please subscribe to the YouTube channel, we would love that. So would YouTube. And what YouTube does is when you do subscribe, it boosts all the videos up so more people can see them, which I think is a cool thing. So we can show some love there. Also, if you want to follow me anywhere else other than here, Facebook, Jim Masters TV, YouTube, Jim Masters TV. I'm also on Instagram at Jim Masters TV. You can follow me there if you want. And Twitter at Jim Masters TV as well. And I try to stay active as much as I can on all the platforms with all the craziness and the busyness of the day. Lots of wonderful comments here, folks. I love showing your comments. Daphne's in Southern California. Oh, Angie, you're in New York City. Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. I grew up in New York as well. Out on the island, on Long Island. Yes, Facebook is Jim Masters TV. Twitter is Jim Masters TV, and Instagram is Jim Masters TV. And of course, you're there on YouTube at Jim Masters TV. Feel free to join us. We have a lot of great guests coming up all next week. We are booked with guests all the way until the first week of October. I can't believe it. From all walks of life, all different backgrounds, all different genres, and just really awesome stuff. And then, of course, like last night, we did a really awesome ad hoc show. It was host chat. So I came on and we chatted with all our viewers, and we talked about hobbies and music and food. We learned a lot about each other. Somehow insects got in there too. Fire ants and bumblebees and spiders and We talked about just about everything you could think of last night with the viewers, and that was a heck of a lot of fun. So sometimes I do these shows. Sometimes I do a pop-up show tomorrow. I mean, a pop-up show once in a while. I did one last Saturday and everybody came out of the woodwork. I might be doing one tomorrow. If I do one tomorrow, it might be on YouTube, on the YouTube channel at 11 a.m. So keep watch of the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We're probably going to do it exclusively on YouTube. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube page or haven't checked out the YouTube page, it's youtube.com, Jim Masters TV. We might be doing possibly a pop-up tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the YouTube channel, maybe. We may do it on Facebook too, but I think YouTube. We'll see. We'll see. If not, then you have a wonderful weekend. SoCal is here. Good to see you. Thanks to you, Jim, for another great show. You make it enjoyable for the guests and for us viewers. I appreciate that very much, Renee. Viewer of the week. You are still celebrating Viewer of the Week. You've got another full day and tomorrow to celebrate Viewer of the Week. Renee is our Jim Master Show Viewer of the Week. If you don't know what that is, for some of the new folks watching, I pick a random viewer who's been very supportive of the show by sharing the links and telling everybody about the show and liking the YouTube channel and Facebook pages and just really being here all the time. And we celebrate them and we crown them Viewer of the Week. And Renee is our Viewer of the Week. Renee Uscombe from Iowa. So congratulations, continued. That was great. Thanks, Jim and Sean. Very nice, down-to-earth guy. We appreciate that. Thanks for a great interview. Cleveland, Ohio says, see you next time. My pleasure, Kathy. And that's where he was born, too. Great. Yes, I will. Thanks, Angie. Glad that I'm going to see you as well on, yes, Eastern time. That would be 11 Eastern. That'd be early on. That's Pacific would be 7 a.m., right? That could be a little early. Maybe I should say noon. That'd be 9 a.m. Well, then there might be people in church 9 a.m. We'll see. Well, so I think I did it. Was it 10 a.m. last week, Saturday? We'll see. Maybe it'll pop up. Keep watch on the Facebook page at Jim Masters TV. If we do it, if we don't end up, with the family or something, because there is some bad weather coming tomorrow. Some really rough weather coming tomorrow. And then Tuesday, the impacts of that hurricane, hopefully it would be a tropical storm, will be coming up the East Coast here. We're in the northeastern United States and the greater New York City area between New York and Boston, right on the coast. Many foodies here. Yes, we do that. It's been a great week. Absolutely. A great week to be the Viewer of the Week, right? That's what makes a great interviewer is the comfort level the guests feel, and you definitely allow guests and viewers a great level of comfort, which gives them or us a place to open up and learn everyone's true, genuine self. Willie is still with us at 2:50 a.m. She went to 3:30 yesterday. We appreciate that. And good job, Renee, as Viewer of the Week. 10 a.m. your time. That's right. You're Central. Yes, you guys are Central time. Thanks for all the great comments, everybody. I hope you guys have been doing well and I hope you had a good day. Again, if you watch the news, there's a lot of rough stuff happening on the news, right? I mean, some of the numbers and the figures and the things they're talking about, the GDP and the pandemic. And again, it's all we can do is follow, wear the mask, social distance, wash your hands, be good to each other, relax, be patient, don't go after each other. And there's a lot of people fighting and bickering. We all need to be in this together or none of this is going to be solved. If we're not on the same page and we're not in this together, none of this is going to be solved. So we need to come together. And if you get a little angry about anything, relax. I say it every night. I've said it for 12 weeks of shows. And sometimes I even have to remember to say it to myself. The host needs to be reminded of this too. For sure. Our special guest, Sean Kanan, agrees. You have to relax, breathe through the diaphragm. Take care of yourself. We talked about that with Sean tonight as well. love others, be good to yourself. Very, very important. If there's ever a time to be reminded to love one another and to relax and to breathe, not let fear take over, because there's a lot of fearful things going on right now. A lot of things that are unstable, unsure, uncharted, living through something, multiple things that many of us haven't lived through, in a lifetime, in generations. We're trying to figure our way through it. So, hopefully, this entertainment lifestyle talk show series, the Jim Masters Show Live, helps you relax, puts a smile on your face, informs you, educates you, entertains you. We have a lot of fun, and hopefully, it's something you look forward to and are inspired by. It's very important to be inspired, and hopefully, we will continue to all be here together, celebrating each other, celebrating what life is all about. I might be the star of the show, but of course, I always say that you guys are the stars. You guys are the stars. That's how we look at it. Not everybody looks at it that way, but that's how I look at it. And we always go to a couple more final comments before we wrap up the show. Yes, everyone stay safe. You guys take care. I know you're saying the audio, sometimes the audio gets bad. If the guest goes out first, like he did, where he just went that way, then the audio goes out bad. I don't know why that is, but you stay safe.